Welcome back. Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio by speaking with Sergeant Kerron Jonas, Operations Sergeant at this Sherburne Road Police Station. And of course, you know, when we speak with T.T.P.S on a Monday morning, we usually get our crime updates, and we also have another topic that we will touch on as well. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, pleasant good morning to you and your viewers on the Tobago Updates. Well, let us kick it off with the crime updates.
Correct.
All right, so thus far from January to the current period, we have recorded 6 murders. You know that most times we are judged by the murders. And by this time last year, we have recorded 10 or so murders. So we have seen a reduction, and that is a plus. We also continue to see a reduction in violent crimes, that is our wounding, shootings, and to an extent robberies. All right, we continue to work. The police, the Tobago division has embarked on several exercises throughout the past week, which would have seen a lot of persons being charged for various offenses, such as possession of firearms, shooting with intent, malicious wounding, malicious damage, and larceny offenses. So the division is doing fairly well as it relates to those serious offenses. We want to see further reductions in the last 3 months of this year. So we'll continue to partner with our stakeholders and the public to ensure that there is safety on the island of Tobago.
And as we continue to talk about partnership with stakeholders, I mean, we had the conversation last week, and every time we have a conversation with T.T.P.S, we will always ask, what is the relationship like with the stakeholders in terms of ensuring you have that open conversation and discourse, and that they too are able to contribute to the conversation as it relates to fighting crime?
Right. So the police service continues to hold our walkabouts. We go to the communities and meet persons in the communities to find out what issues they have so that we can be proactive in trying to address those issues. And that forms a great bond and build a relationship with the communities so that when things happen, they feel free to call us and tell us, well, this is happening, so that we can act on it. Right? So those are some of the initiatives. Also, we have the community meetings, the town meetings, that you will see on air from time to time, right? That also allows for that relationship building with the police and the community.
And we see communities really coming together to ensure that they contribute as well. They are seeing their importance. They're seeing the value that they are bringing. So I just want to confirm that, you know, because it's, as we always mention, crime is not a T.T.P.S thing. It's all of us. We have to ensure. So are you seeing them coming forward confidently, and they're seeing their value in terms of adding to the conversation?
Yes, yes. Without the community, we would not have some of the successes that we have had so far. I mean, we have recovered thus so far 14 firearms, right? And that is attributed to the information that the community is bringing forward for us, right?
All right. From the T.T.P.S side of things, you said that you would like to see a further reduction in crime going throughout the year. We all hope for that as a community, and of course the T.T.P.S. What plans do you all have in place to further? Because I'm thinking, you know, we are currently in an SOE. Are we going to continue that SOE for the entire year, or is there another plan in place to combat this issue?
Well, I cannot speak to the extension of an SOE. That is for another place, right? But an SOE has a lifespan. But outside of that, the police service will continue to embark on various exercises to ensure that there's a reduction, or ensure that the violent crimes on the island of Tobago especially remains abated.
All right. So, you know, that's where we are with our crime updates. And, you know, we want to head on into the conversation this morning about driving, drivers, road safety, and stuff like that. And, you know, we want to talk about sometimes we see where you want to get to where you're going. Let's say you came from an event, or you came from work, or you had a really, really busy day. And at the end of it, you just want to get home, right? But you're tired. You might have gone to an event like a fete or whatever, and you've been, you know, had a few drinks, and you had a time at the party, as they call it. You know, I'm not a fete, so I don't know what they do in parties. And we're talking about, I mean, you're tired, but you want to get home because you want to sleep in your bed, right?
Yes.
Let us talk about the issues that people can face in terms of driving when they are sleepy, when they are tired. in spite of wanting to get home to your bed. Let's talk about the practical aspect of this.
Right. So you're speaking to drowsy driving. That is what it's scoring us. And persons, when they are tired, it impairs your judgment. You know, as you said, oftentimes you just want to get home after a long night's work, but it's not advisable that if you are tired, that you get behind the wheel. Take a power nap before you start driving. Or if you cannot make it, call somebody to drive you, take a taxi or Uber or something like that. Because the effects of drowsiness is similar, as research has shown, to being intoxicated in some way. Right? And we want to avoid driving while we are drowsy. Because not only falling asleep could be a problem. When you drive drowsy, it impairs your judgment, you make poorer decisions, your reaction time is slower. So it increases the risk of you getting into an accident. More so if you fall asleep. You know, when you fall asleep, your foot gets heavy on the pedal and you lost all control. You don't know what happened. And it may result in serious injury or even death. So we are advising persons, listen, if you are tired, sleep. Park up at an area that is safe. Go to the police station and just have a conversation. Officer, I want to take a nap. To park up in the car park. I am sure that
Did you know that option was available,
did not
Natalya?
know.
And this is where we should be at in terms of building that partnership and that relationship with the public as well. So persons should feel safe to go and park up probably outside of a police station and take a nap. It may be a safe space for you.
I like hearing about these T.T.P.S's, the T.T.P.S's A and B services. Yeah, I love hearing about that. So, Adanna, if you're ever tired on the road, ensure to pull into the station.
But what if the police station is far off from where I am? I mean, I know you
Yes.
mentioned, Sergeant, that you can, pull aside, take a power nap. But the concern now is my safety.
Yes.
Because I might be extremely tired in a place where it is not that safe. So is it safe to park there and sleep, or should I take the chance and drive for another couple kilometers to get to a safe space? So
try to get to a safe space. That's because safety is foremost important. Right? So try to get to an area which is safe enough that you could be able to take a nap. Right? You don't want to be a victim of a crime while napping in your vehicle, so to speak. And I just want to give some stats as to the amount of accidents that we are having. So from January to this current period, last year we had 1,467 accidents. Those are minor to serious accidents. And this year we have 1,269. There's a count difference of about 198. Right? For fatal accidents, we had approximately 5 last year, and this year we had 3. We have seen a reduction, but it's still too much.
And how much of it is as a result of drowsy driving or even driving under the influence?
Well, I don't have those statistics. However, those are contributing factors to accidents. Now, if somebody is under the influence and they got in an accident, they will sure end up before the court, right? And that is a serious offense. So we can touch on that as we on that topic. Driving under the influence, we are approaching the carnival period in Tobago. And a lot of persons going to be out in the fets and having a good time. So we are saying if you must partake in a beverage, do it in moderation. And then if you are intoxicated, don't drive. Ensure to have somebody designated to take you home. Call a taxi, a Uber, a TT ride share. Ensure that you get home safely. Because if you get behind that wheel and you are intoxicated, again, it impairs your judgment. Your reaction time is slower. It can cause double vision when you are intoxicated. So imagine you driving on the highway and you've seen 4 cars coming at you. Right? It may be one, but because you're intoxicated and that double vision cause you may sway off the road or you may hit somebody. Right? And that leads sometimes to death. And we don't want those incidents happening as we approach this carnival period.
Officer, if I call the station and, well, I deem it as an emergency that I'm intoxicated and I need an escort home because my friend isn't available to come for me, I don't have a safe space, would the T.T.P.S be willing to give me escort services to my home?
Well, they may escort you to this prison cell because you may be behind the wheel. Because you're not speaking about an escort. That means you are driving and the police is escorting you.
Let's say directly from the FET to my home. I ain't get behind the wheel as yet.
Right.
I want to get home, but I know that I'm too intoxicated to drive. is there the possibility of the T.T.P.S. or an officer taking me to my home?
Especially with the tagline to protect and serve with
Correct.
pride. You know, so these are some of the things that we really, and I like this question, Natalya, because these are some of the things that the public needs to be aware of. We really want to understand the type of relationship that we can have
Yes.
with the T.T.P.S. If you're talking about strengthening communities and strengthening partnerships, can I call a police officer if I am intoxicated? I'm not going to get into my car, but I need to get home tonight. Can I call him and say, listen, help me out here?
Yeah.
Well, it may. There is a possibility that it could happen. Depends on the amount of work that the police may have to do at that point in time. Remember, there are other areas that we must service. And if there's a threat, of course, there'll be police officers on duty. Right? And there are other things that they will have to pay attention to. So dropping you home at that particular time may not be. We may not be able to do that. Right? But in other instances, certainly, the police are able to assist persons by taking them home safely.
You know, I want to go back to Carnival because, as you mentioned before, we're heading into Carnival and we're talking
Yes.
about people reveling and partaking in alcoholic beverages while on the road. Will the breathalyzers be out for that period? One, and will the conversation in terms of the stakeholder meetings with the Tobago October Carnival Association, in terms of having the manpower from the T.T.P.S. and all the other protective services to ensure that they can manage situations that might potentially get out of hand?
Yes, the breathalyzers will be out in full effect, right? Because we want to ensure that persons get home safely. And coming from those feds, there are also safe and sober zones that people can go to ensure that they are good to get behind a wheel. And if not, they can relax, sober up before they get behind the wheel. So all those things are in keeping with bridging that gap between the police and the public. We want to ensure that we're not just there to charge person for being intoxicated behind the wheel. We don't want to do that. We want to ensure that persons are not intoxicated and that they are sober enough to get home and get home safely.
Is it possible for you to give us a brief reminder of the charge associated with driving under the influence?
Well, the penalty is $12,000, I think, in the first instance. So you can be fined up to $12,000. On a subsequent offense, that penalty increases. And then it also can land you jail time. I think it's up to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So every time you are caught driving under influence, the penalty goes up. And ultimately, you can have your driver's permit disqualified.
Okay.
I really do hope that the public takes advantage of the meetings that you all have in community meetings, because there's so much information that people either they know and they ignore, or they are ignorant of. They don't have the information and they need to get the information. So I really do hope that there's buy-in and effective conversations where people, and I know sometimes some of these meetings, the people who need to be there are seldom there.
Yes.
You know, we have people who have concerns that come into the meetings rather than people who are sometimes, part of causing obstruction, right? So I'm hoping that there will be some kind of mechanism that will be put in place that will reach a wider cross-section of Tobago as it relates to fighting this crime. And I want to go back again to October Carnival. I know I didn't come to talk about that this morning, but I really am concerned about safety. And I know sometimes it takes also a cultural shift, a mindset change, because you're talking about dealing with people. While the management of the Tobago October Carnival, they might have their plans. All the stakeholders come together and they have this idea, and we're going to have an amazing carnival. People are going to come from far and wide, and we can control it. That is just the brain. Now you have all the people who are coming now, the revelers, they are coming from far and wide, and you have no control over them per se, except for the band that they register for. They might have policies. Do you know if there's any policy that the band leaders have to ensure that their revelers or their participants, they understand the parameters of how they are supposed to behave on the nation's roads at that point in time, in terms of, one, drinking, how you behave with people in the band, because sometimes somebody just don't want anybody to dance with them. I'm dancing by myself. These types of conversations, is there anything put in place that the band leaders will ensure that the people who register with them understand these things?
Well, as far as the T.T.P.S. is concerned, we are uncertain as to whether the band leaders, they have that policy within their bands. But I can say, as it relates to road safety, it starts with you, the individual. And the T.T.P.S has a slogan, I am road safe, because road safety begins with me, the person. So we are each responsible for our own safety. And as far as reveling is concerned, I mean, we have to be respectful to other persons. You can't just go and don't think that you should just go and, because it's carnival, you whine on anybody that you choose to, right? Some people don't subscribe to that. So we have to be respectful. Unless you know the person, don't approach, right? So it begins with the individual.
Right.
So I think that the T.T.P.S here, we can reach out probably to some of those band leaders and ensure that these things are put in place, that persons are forewarned as to the consequences and of their actions, especially as it relates to road use and other things. So,
Is there a possibility of having conversations with some of those band leaders in terms of putting some policies in place? Not for the reveling, because as you said, people have to be really respectful of the person that they may want to take a dance on, if so to speak,
yes.
right? But we're talking about road safety on a whole. Now, I know that road safety starts with me, but as a band leader, what can I do to protect the members of my band for Carnival? Is there a possible conversation with the band leaders in the future in terms of this?
Yeah, that it is possible that we can sit with the band leaders and ensure that, hey, you let people know, hey, you are here to have a good time, but also remember, excessive drinking and driving, that's an offense. You cannot drink and then go on to drive. So those conversations we can have with the band leaders in the future.
Yeah.
And, coming out of Carnival a little bit and back to actual road safety and usage of the nation's roads, let's talk a little bit about signage. Let's talk a little bit about, because there are some signs that are very visible and people still do their own thing. And I know the police cannot be everywhere at all
Yes.
times. What are we doing in terms of enforcing the law where we know that people are, for instance, let's talk about that Works Hill area coming down from Signal Hill. And you're supposed to turn left to head east into Scarborough.
Right.
Yes.
Some people still take the chance and they turn
Yeah.
in traffic to head west, which
Yes.
of course we know is not permitted.
So, unfortunately, again, it comes down to cultural issues. We like someone to be watching over our shoulders at every point in time. So if the police is not there, people take unnecessary risk. And again, this leads to accidents. When you take a risk like that, the barriers are there for a purpose. Because we will have seen over time that making a right turn at that junction will cause an accident sometimes. So it's upon the individual. The police doesn't necessarily have to be there. But if we catch you, you're going to be ticketed. Because we want to ensure that there's safety. People are not obeying the regulations. And these are contributing factors again to accident. So we want to reduce those instances of accidents. So if you obey the regulation, you'll get into less problems and accidents. Another thing is the roundabout, the improper use of the roundabout. Persons do not know how to use a roundabout, and it oftentimes leads to accident. So there are a lot of videos on YouTube, online, that you can go and research and see the proper use of a roundabout. And let us learn and let us be responsible drivers out there on the nation road so that we can avoid getting into a collision, because it sets you back financially and all these things. It increases your insurance premium. You want to avoid those accidents, right? At all costs.
I don't want to ask a question, but I do want to make a suggestion. Now, you said to go up on YouTube and online. I'm talking about the roundabout specifically, because I myself have had to press my horn a few times for people who don't know how to stay in their lane, right? Could there possibly be some sort of video coming out from or road traffic officers, just showing civilians how to use this roundabout? Because I think this has been an issue. There was something posted on social media on how to actually use the roundabout. Some people said it was still confusing.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is to, try to educate them a little with visuals so that they may know how to use this roundabout.
May I comment on this? I mean, I know the division of infrastructure through the licensing department. They did one when the first roundabout was there. That's the one at Hawkins. They did one there. And they continue to do videos. In fact, they even did a video recently in terms of how to use the zebra, how to park or to stop before you approach a zebra crossing. So I believe the information is out there. The thing is, how do you get the people to pay attention to the information? And I feel probably we have to take more drastic measures in terms of our public education drives to ensure people pay attention. Sometimes, perhaps, the information is too subtle and they think, oh, this is a smooth sail, I could do this. How about we create something that ends in a way that that has them thinking what is happening, and so they will have to wonder. Let us really pay attention to this rather than taking chances, because people literally take chances at the roundabout. They take chances coming out of a minor road into a major road. They take a lot of risky chances. So perhaps our public education drive has to be more aggressive, if I could use that term, to ensure people understand it can end in fatality.
Yes. I know in the past that the T.T.P.S has done videos with the traffic department showing persons the use of the roundabout and these things. So we have to revitalize that maybe to ensure that there's education and the public is aware on how to use the roundabout effectively to get where they have to get to.
I'm thinking a few advertisements. Well, some things certainly stick in your head when you see them over and over on TV. So probably send that video into Tobago Updates. We'll be happy to share that video with our viewers.
Certainly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Sergeant Kerron Jonas, Operations Sergeant at the Sherburne Road Police Station this morning, talking about the T.T.P.S updates and, of course, safe road usage. We want to ensure that we use our roads safely. Remember, you're not the only driver, you're not the only pedestrian. I mean, pedestrians also have to pay attention to how they use the roads as well. You can't be crossing the street on your cell phone and just taking your good old time because, well, I'm crossing at a zebra cross. No, let us be mindful of all the users of our roads, pay attention to the regulations and obey them so we can avoid road fatalities and road incidents. Well, viewers, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. And as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the life, share the life, share the life.